The News Line.
Hello and welcome back to People's TV. On September 25th, during a press conference, Donald Trump announced that his administration would not permit Israel to annex Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank. People's TV highlighted two key points in this statement. First, when journalists asked whether the decision had been discussed with Prime Minister Netanyahu, Trump initially responded that it had. However, he quickly added, "Even if it's not, I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. It's not going to happen." Second, Trump explained that after meeting with Arab leaders, he decided to oppose the Netanyahu administration's plans to annex the West Bank as part of Israel's sovereign territory. There are two realities to understand from these observations. Settling Israeli civilians in the West Bank is one matter, while annexing the West Bank is another. Yet, the Israeli government is pursuing both simultaneously. At the same time, it is important to note that the government is not driving Arab residents away from the region, even though historically the West Bank has been part of Israel. Now, hypothetically, let's assume the West Bank belongs to the Arabs of that region. Even then, Arabs live freely within mainland Israel. If that is accepted, why can Jews not live in the West Bank? Consider this example. During the Sri Lankan conflict, when the LTTE controlled the north and east, designated as their separate Tamil state, they expelled both Muslims and Sinhalese speakers from those territories. Yet, Tamil-speaking Sri Lankans continued to live freely throughout the rest of the country. This is the pattern we see among radical Islamists across the world. They enjoy the freedom to live and practice their religion almost anywhere. They are entitled to reside in America and Europe. They are free to protest, to take part in politics, to proselytize, to build places of worship, and even to hold prayer gatherings that sometimes obstruct public roads. Yet, in many predominantly Muslim countries, ordinary people are denied even their most basic human rights. In Sri Lanka, we speak of the concept of one country, one law. Yet, in practice, it remains only a concept. What we actually have is a two-tier system of justice, one that favors the elites while prosecuting the less privileged to the fullest extent. Radical Islamists are quick to affirm their freedoms and rights in foreign countries, yet minorities in many predominantly Muslim nations are deprived of the basic right to live freely. This double standard raises a critical question. If Arabs are entitled to live in Jerusalem, why can Jews not live in the West Bank? If Arabs can exercise their rights within the land of Israel without discrimination, why should Jews be denied their rights in Judea and Samaria? These are historical areas that belong to Israel. If Arabs can reside there, then Jews should be equally entitled to live in the same land. Why is Israel so determined to annex the West Bank, also known as Judea and Samaria? As we noted in our previous commentary, Europe has been pressuring the international community to recognize a sovereign Palestinian state, a move reinforced by a resolution passed at the United Nations General Assembly back in September. In response, Israel announced its intention to annex the West Bank. In other words, Israel's message is clear. If the world believes it has the authority to make unanimous decisions about our homeland, which is none of their business, then we have every right to make our own decisions concerning our homeland. We have already analyzed Trump's personality and leadership style. He is a transactional leader. Just a few days ago, he told the Netanyahu administration that if Europe can make its own decisions about the land of Israel, then Israel too is free to make its own decisions. However, following his meetings with Arab leaders during the United Nations General Assembly, Trump shifted his stance, declaring that he would not permit Israel to annex the West Bank. What happened, you ask? Money talks, and in this case, it shouted loud enough to influence U.S. policy. Qatar, known for massive investments across Europe and America, appears to have singled out Trump. They donated a multi-million-dollar Boeing 747 aircraft, intended as Air Force One, with an estimated $400 million required to upgrade it to official specifications. While Qatar called it a generous gift, critics in the U.S. and around the world have called it exactly what it is, a bribe, not merely to Trump as an individual, but to the highest office in the United States. This is influence bought with billions, shaping policy under the guise of diplomacy. When Trump met with the Turkish president, he made the same promise, no annexation of the West Bank by Israel, while also pledging F-35 fighter jets to Turkey. So, here's the billion-dollar question. How can Trump refuse to favor the Arab world, even at the potential cost of Israel's freedom, when he's being rewarded so handsomely by them? Meanwhile, the United Nations has proposed sanctions against the leadership of the Palestinian Authority. This is an absurd situation. The same international community that rewarded terrorist leaders and their ideology with a sovereign state now seeks to impose sanctions on them. In reality, these so-called leaders deserve sanctions. Mahmoud Abbas, after all, bankrolls terrorist activities and has ruled as a dictator without holding elections for over 20 years. Yet, the international community rewards him with a state while simultaneously threatening sanctions. It's nothing short of a bad joke. Palestine was nothing but a British mandate that does not exist anymore. Now the West wants Israel to adapt that outdated mandate as a sovereign state. Here's where Trump will clash with Israel. Trump is an asset for Israel. Trump is important for Israel in terms of the relations with the U.S. However, the state of Israel doesn't value Trump as much as it values Israel. If Trump had persuaded the Western and Arab nations, Israel might have reconsidered annexing the West Bank. However, he did not succeed, and the West recognized Palestine as a sovereign state. Israel will now move forward with annexing the West Bank, whether Trump approves or not. Trump is acting like other Western leaders who demand Israel halt its actions without addressing the hostage issue. He wants Israel to refrain from annexing the West Bank, even after the world has recognized Palestine as a sovereign state, setting the stage for a clash. As we noted in a previous video, Trump is a transactional leader. His promise of F-35 fighter jets to Turkey confirmed this yet again. But mark our words, Israel will annex the West Bank, whether Trump approves or not. If this report helped you see the situation on the ground clearly, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to People's TV, where truth has no agenda, and facts speak louder than spin.
Subscribe us for more details.